Ah, so my mom wants to buy some Tesla, huh? So here it is. Whenever we look at a chart, we pull out to the daily, and then it makes you really sad, why it was around for all these years. And these are the people like Bitcoin will be in the future. Like, why didn't we buy then? And then Bitcoin just did this. But this is what I realize in the psychology of humanity for the markets. If there's anything to learn from it, is that when you're coming up to this range, you know, you don't see, it's hard to perceive like, oh, this was the high and it kept hitting resistance, and then it hit the resistance, found support here, and then began taking off. And even when it had this massive run up, this is just a quick little tutorial here, you had 160% gain, it literally had to pull right back down 60% to catch support, and then was really, with all the news, right after the races again. But even 71 days, that took 2 months again, and this whole period was a period of 195 days. When you look at the span of this, which then again rocket shipped the price into the stratosphere. So here we are. This is a mathematical algorithmic structure, and it's a fractal expansion wave. It's like all these terms that now I've learned studying that the market is this mathematically defined structure. It really is. And we're studying wave mechanics because it's ultimately just a wave. And you're like, probably like everyone else, I don't even want to know about all this. But if you are taking interest and you want to know just a little 5-minute blip, then I just thought it'd be fun to share this, because the price in any structure is always broken and cut right down the middle. So you see this 20.45. So if I do this, and of course it's not going to come up on the, let's see the angle here, boop, and that. So if we do this angle, I won't even look at anything. 20.5, 0.45, close enough. What you're going to get is an exact crosshair of support right through the middle when it literally came up and hit support here, and you can kind of carry it. But this is, you're always looking for pivot points, and the fact that when you get these, there's always a cross. I hate to say that studying this for 10 minutes and then setting up my mic to record this for you, there's going to be a huge amount of resistance and support when Tesla comes down to this price right here. So this is actually the buying range at 267. And then I expect a break up. If it breaks up back above this, then we're going to go up to this level. But even then, support is going to come back down to here. This is your main line support, is what I'm trying to share in this moment right now. So with that being said, there is always, if it breaks support, like anything in life, you break below a point, then that becomes overhead resistance. Then there's actually another line here, that's really strong. And there's always these 3 main lines of support. You can see it when it comes up, hits here, hits here, hits respected the whole way down. This isn't, so I said it's not like I have an opinion about the markets. It's once you learn how to read the wave, the mechanics within the market, and it can be seen at different angles. We're going to get into that over the next few minutes. So again, I know you don't want to know all this. When do I buy? Well, I'm just saying, if it does break here down, we will go down to and this will be, so you never want to put all your money in, throw it here. All I am saying is we're waiting for a pullback to this line, and then at that point you would put in, I would recommend 30%, 33%. And that if it breaks down, then you put in your other 33%. If you buy here and buy here, your average entry is right in the middle. And then, like I said, even if there's a little dip and it starts to show bounce to the back, then you buy in your third entry, which will then bring you the average between. So that puts your overall average entry here. And that's even still entering here, because the point is, if it goes to right here and then bounces up, then you have an entry here and here, and then your average entry is here. So it's always about your entry, and I'm going to go into that too, why it's so important, the entry price. But assuming I have your attention and you want to look at this, since you asked, and I'm going to spend the time to record this, consequently, in response to your interest, and just testing my microphone and video. I really wish I did more recording, and then you want to streamline it to give the information quick and easy, but everybody is at a different stage of knowledge, so it's like hard to teach something when everybody is in a different space of what they know about the market. So anyways, I just have to always be reminded that that most people are only looking at this and they're like, okay, what do I do with that? That's just price going up, down. There's nothing important going on there. And then, as I've shared with you and taught you, there's level 1, which is these fans that show a geometric structure, that once again cannot be denied. It's a fractal, so you're going to see the expansion wave expanding here, and then it goes up, finds support. Because it's fractal, it comes in at this angle also comes in at a different angle, and then there's just layers and layers in the fractal that can get very complicated. But to just show it, like, what's going on here. And I drew this fan when I was in Florida, when it was like, back here, and then you watch the fan play out. As I keep saying, like, it'll respect it to a T. Every line and point and line is like, well, then why aren't you making millions? Because it's freaking stressful when you're using your life savings and you've already lost so much. And then look, went right to this line, came down. There's actually a center line in here. I don't have it on the grid. But we are down here, and the point is, where's it at now? Well, if it broke up to here, we're going to bounce down from here and then find support here, like I was saying in the prior example. It's going to come down to this line. So we're expecting, again, this is a compression wave, because there's like, it's like letters and you're reading a book, and there's words, and right now this is building a word that's so commonly known for just regular everyday traders. They mostly know how patterns are built, compression patterns, and this is what's building an ascending. It's a descending triangle, which is a bullish pattern, because it maintains lower support. And so if it comes down here, it'll maintain lower support, and it's trying to break out, and then it'll break out because it's building compression on the downside, and then it'll break out, find support, and then there's a measured move. What's so cool about the language of the markets is that we know that if this is the length of the initial expansion on this side, it will break up from that expansion here, and if it breaks here, it'll make that expansion to the top, so it'll actually go to here. Then that will come back to find support, probably down in this range, before it then heads up to these higher targets, which, if you are going to buy Tesla, then we're looking at ranges right in here, and then in the long-term future here, it's going to get so much bounce off from here and here, because this is a telescoping expansion wave. So everything that was in support through these ranges will be rejection points here and here and here. This is just, it's not even something I wonder about anymore. It happens on every pattern, everything in crypto, S&P, gold, everything. It all does the same. Everything follows the same freaking pattern. So anyways, now you've got that information. This is, again, is level 1 charting. I'm going to show you another angle of the fractal. This is medium range understanding with this Fibonacci expansion wave. But check this out. So we've got these lines. We'll just close those up. Now, I did all this when I was in Florida, just taking a look at Tesla. And then when I got here, I did this one. And then sure enough, it's gone to the next. Let's just get rid of that. Oops. So you can see in this, it's not, again, I always tell people, this is not my opinion about the market. Like, you can get into this gives the best description for a two-dimensional like angle of what's going on in the markets. And how long are we in the recording now? 10 minutes. I am so sorry. So here it is, finding support, and then when it breaks the support, it does what's a retest, and that's where you bring in this level 2 indicators. This retrace had no strength in it. They were selling here, so then it goes back down. I'm not going to get into all that on how to read when we're turning around, but this is what the price is falling. Once it broke here, we came down to support here, and again, I had all that patterned out. I have not done a new expansion wave on this pattern, so I would just show you really quickly, if you care to know, since you're going to pay attention to Tesla now, if you're going to put some real money in on it, what I've learned to do, which has been, like I said, so interesting about these markets, is I'll clone this. I'll take off the lock and I'll bring it down to overlays perfectly, just like that. So it looks like only one expansion, but because this plays in harmony like musical chords, you take the base point from when the expansion wave started, and that has a very specific point too, so all this lines up. And then you watch this, you expand it out, and watch this. When it catches the waves, now we're not just looking at, so we keep these verticals, this white line and this yellow line in line. We don't want to come up here or go down here, so we're just going to keep the white and yellow line, and then we're going to watch where that yellow and everything else finds support, and it lines up perfectly because they interlock right here and right here, so the keys lock together. And that's where people, it's like, you got to be to a certain degree to figure this out and realize there's no videos explaining this, right here in this range. Yep. So it's really more like here, it captures the wave right there, and then which also lets me know we're coming up against resistance here. So again, the expected move is a pullback down into this range. So I would say buy at 232.2, which is answering your question. And this is how we, as a technician of the markets, which I don't do anything of. I spent 3, 5, 7 years learning what ChatGPT says it takes many people decades if they can even understand to see all this, when you're just given tools and then not given instructions on how to use the tools. I don't know why it's set up this way, but the point is we're up against resistance. We're going to pull back, and this is a great buying area. It could even dip down here, which would be a great buying area, but that's going to be it. Once we now you can look at this framework and say, well, now we know there's baseline support here, and we might get a dip through the recession, which is coming through. See it down at the bottom? January, February 2026. It might come down to these levels, but if it, when it breaks up out of here, it's going to be a huge bounce to the upside, as opposed to the S&P, or you mentioned gold. I've got all the major stocks right here, from Nvidia, Microsoft, Amazon, Twitter, JP Morgan, BlackRock at the top, Google, Meta. I remember when I was back in Florida, and Meta was right here, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is such a great buying opportunity, but everything, there's so much, it's just, there's 500% gain with Meta, alone. Google, also, this is the dip from back here, 2020, went up, pulled back, support, and, obviously not as good as Meta, 85% gain. And Nvidia, yes, was super popular. I showed that one because of all the chips. It's powering all the AI stuff. I put this target here back when I said this is where she should buy. Amber, when you were her visiting, I did you a video, and I put this here, and I said if it pulls back to this level, you could buy again. But I don't expect Nvidia. I'm not going to sit here and bore you with doing a whole freaking expansion wave thing, but it's on every single chart. To do one of these things where you see this breaks the support right here, so usually that's the pinpoint of the target, and then lay it out. Look at that, it took 5 seconds. You can see it hits support here, grabs it there. You can see the framework, and then touches it perfect here, grabs it here. Look at that. It just takes 2 seconds, and you spend a little time fine-tuning it. But geez, it always amazes me that, again, this is every single asset, every single class, everything, and the markets are all done up like this. So actually this comes in a little different right in there. I was going to fine-tune that, but anyways, whatever. I've been doing this for years. It doesn't even seem, before it was revelation, oh my gosh, and now it's okay, whatever. Did you want to see anything else? Oh, the S&P and gold. let's see. So the S&P just broke above this support line, coming down to support here, bounced off this line, which I knew the moment it did, there's another great buying opportunity, but you're looking at gains, Mom, that are like here to 17%. It staggered here at 13%. I mean, I can expand this wave out further because we go out to the weekly. This is obviously a huge expansion wave pattern from 1996. This whole thing is sitting inside of, this whole move here, and we just pulled back. And during the recession, I hate to say we're going to break up to here, and the recession is going to pull all the way back to these levels. I mean, there's going to be support here, but really break down. And if it gets really bad, shoot, it could come back down to these levels. But we won't know. It's like a staircase. We're not coming here unless it breaks here, and there's going to be resistance at each one of these harmonics, in the whole movement. Now let's look at gold, and it's just been up, and I haven't even done, an expansion wave pattern for this one, just because I just haven't been paying attention to it enough. Trend lines, and where's the GAN? There's the GAN down here somewhere. What is all this? Sheesh. Interesting. Full-size GANs? No. Oh, it's at the freaking top. Wow, as you can see, gold has gone parabolic since January 2024. And once again, it found support here, broke above, and then found support horizontally here. And then once this broke all-time highs, again, until you sense retracement for a pullback. And remember what I taught you when you were here when we went over this? The strength of this move is measured through volume and momentum. And our indicators underneath are what show us that. So you can see that the strength came up in this first move, boom, and then people got kind of hesitant here, and now they boomed up again, really hesitant. But this is a pullback that once this breaks, this whole structure is going to be coming down, down, down. It just can't keep going up. I've looked at these enough times to see that, again, like this is a trajectory going up, but there will be probably, when the recession gets, there will be a higher high, but then it's going to pull back. Again, when you look at all these charts over and over again, it's like, there's one basic thing most people would agree, that you want to buy at the top and sell at the bottom. Are you kidding me? My mouse just froze. What the heck? There it goes. My goodness. Okay. Now, when you look at all these charts that are so high, and if you're going to make a gain, even in Tesla, if we go back to that, Mom, let's look at the full wave of this, So even if we get, when he starts doing robo-taxi and delivering robots, you're going to get right into this $1,000 range, like without a doubt. Like that's coming, through 2026, 2027. So you're talking a couple of years, because it's always how long do you want to hold the token for, And then the next question is, how much am I going to make? Well, even buying from here and going up, you're looking at 200%. I mean, so 10 grand, 20, 20, 30 grand, right? I always want to put things in perspective, assuming you're still watching this. that again, the world markets are just never going to get you there. Even if you're trading any of these other things in gold, a break to the upside when you've already had this break, yeah, it's 68%. You said, oh, if I would have bought the S&P back in, I had money back in 2020, oh, it's kind of 46%, and it pulled crazy back. Like if you sell out with fear, it took you 2 years and you made 22%. Like you got to be realistic with this and here's the support, because you're reading the pattern. Like this thing is just built in support waves. So, you went up, we found support here, then it went up. This is a triangle, that inside this, and it found support on this. This is horrible drawings, but this is what's going on. And so, yeah, here's the support line. Found support, and once it went up and it broke above this major, this is an arc angle for a 20-year angle. Once it broke above that, boom, you're off to the races. Found support on this one, and then you hit this one, found support here, broke up, staggered, broke down, found support here. I mean, as I keep saying, the markets are not my opinion on how they move. It's just reading the language of what's going on. So, yay. All right, so this is what's upsetting about this whole thing is nobody wants to hear about crypto until it's like mainstream. But Ethereum, yeah, that looks like a mess. But Ethereum, unlike those other tokens, let's get rid of the drawings here. Let's add some, I didn't even get into the waves. So Ethereum was downtrend, hitting the trend, hitting the trend, hitting the trend, hitting the trend. It broke up and went across, and boom, just completely broke out. Just in the last few days. Just going from here to here was a 50% move in 2 days. Your gold, your S&P, even the kind Tesla, the measured move on this, when it actually goes, sorry, I gotta somehow find out where all this is. Rebounds, full expansion, fractal. So these are the most solid volume lines. These volume lines will be respected no matter what, and there's nothing you, me, or anyone can change that at all. You can go through here and try to refute that, but once again, as I keep saying, this is not my opinion. You can go through and see it. All this is respected so much, and it stays in compression, respected, goes up, respected. I mean, it slips out for a moment, but ultimately respected, breakout. We came down to this range, respected, and then we just broke up to here. We're going to come down for support, maybe back down to here, and then it's going to be a break, hopefully to the upside. If we don't, again, get into war, this is the new low bottom, which we were just at 1,500 on Ethereum, which is what I was saying 2 weeks ago. I said, I wish I had more money. This is the time to be entering. Yeah, I bought in. Everything was taking off, and I was kind of freaked out. And when I finally got the money from everyone, it was, November, right in here. I mean, it was just like, yeah. And then I bought in here. I'm still below. I mean, most of the entries I made with Devin's money everything was in here, and then now here we are down here. Which, again, when this takes off, this will be, if I run through what we see, what professional traders do, is this whole thing is a massive triangle, and the triangle will always break out to the measured move of this distance minimally. So when it breaks out, and it breaks off at an equal line, so here, so this distance, dang it, let's see, is from here to here, and then you take that and go up from here, which is what comes into perfect alignment with these numbers. So unlock. So that's why we're expecting a move minimum to here when this compression breaks out, which could be towards the end of this year, or it could be through 2026. But when it does break up and out, it is going to these levels. And even if you bought in today, these levels, it's only 288%. That's not even record breaking. If you get to buy it, this is what I always also want to always explain to people, Mom, is check it. You got 288, but do you know the difference? If you just bought just from last week and went to here, look at the difference. 530, literally double the difference from this little move. Had bought somewhere in here, which is what I'm always trying to say. It's where you enter literally makes the difference on everything. You know, yeah, you're not going to be certain the move breaks out until here, but look at the difference in how much money you make in the difference there in their entry. So these are the tokens that I've bought us and Devin into, like AVAX. This one is a utility token that's running an exchange. We're going to definitely go to all-time highs prior minimally. This in itself, as I keep saying, is an expansion wave. This is a triangle, as most of them are. They're all compression waves. Waves move in compression, like life. You push against your braking, you're trying it, and you break out, right? So it's just modeling, you know, human behavior. And yes, this goes back to 2021, and my mouse is dead again, of course. The one time I'm trying to record out. It's called. There we go. Cool. So here's AVAX. Now I drew these back when I saw it down here. I'm like, oh, that would be a good time to buy if I had money to put in now, you know, because look at what you'd make, 1,400%, or just 300%. Look at the difference. Going to here, that's a 700% gain, just getting to all-time highs. When the real money comes in these markets, this measured move is going to minimally put AVAX here, and probably more like up to in these ranges, in the 300s. You know, again, buying in today, what should I buy? Gold? Should I buy Tesla? Well, this is a major top 10 tier token, and you're going to make 1,200% on this run. And even if it gets to all-time prior highs, you're looking at 500% to, you know, and that could happen within no time at all. Once this breaks out, these markets are going to go face melting, parabolic. You know, this is FOMO to the nth degree. People will be freaking out and dumping money and not wanting to lose out, and it's going to go up to these ranges. And then it's not when it hits these ranges, it will bounce. This is level 1. But level 2 is going to show me where to sell, because when we create divergence, we'll know when the sellers have dominated control, and it'll be turning back around. So, you know, knowing when to enter is one thing. Knowing when to sell is obviously the next most important thing. And it gets so complex in explaining that, because it builds a compression pattern in the volume wave oscillator here as well. That is also a pattern. So again, this has been great to learn about and expand my mind into, you know, this manipulative delusion that they've given the world financially, economically, globally, you know, for the markets. And they've got everybody patterned up, and all the markets like move together, which is what's so awesome. Theta is another great token. We've got our money in this one. And again, just going from here up, you're looking at, you know, 2,000% gains to 2,400, and that's on the low end. This token, will probably head much higher into ranges, you know. Let's see, lock. So, you know, when I say, you know, being smart about your investments is buying at the bottom, selling at the top. I just don't know how you could look at all this and me tell you that these tokens are going to be, Solana is the next hottest token. So it's already kind of up, but it's going to go up into these ranges with only a 400 to 1,000% from here. You know, actually like 1,000, and now it's already gone up. So that's 700%. It's a 300% difference from here to here. And that's what people don't realize, how much the entry matters. Look at that at the top. You can see the difference. You know, if you entered at the very bottom here, 1,300% gain as opposed to 700. Like, you literally lose 50% of your profits whether you entered here or here. But look at the people who literally entered here in September 2023. That same 1,200% is 6,000%. See that? This is why these markets get us excited. Because when you compare and contrast and you study cryptology and blockchain enough to know it is the future, completely. Our generation is all primed, and just like secondhand, we understand you guys are all passing away, and we'll be taking your inheritances. But if we don't get that for 5-10 years, yeah, it's already going to be up here, and we'll never get those gains going. Just like buying Intel 10 years after and Microsoft 10-20 years after, you're just not going to get the same gains. These are our opportunity to make these massive generational, retire for life gains. If you could make 6,000% on an entry, and these are all the top tier ones, then there's a lot of lower tier, tokens that are a little riskier. But I mean, this one is processing. They have the Civic Center. This is such a huge token. It converts all payments to credit card, and it's right here at the bottom. And you've got all this opportunity. It's just crazy. This is when to buy. And I bought here, and so, oh no, it's 50%. Oh, I made the wrong entry, because trying to convince everyone to even forward me some money. But yeah, we pulled back to here, and now we're gonna break above and then really take off, and everything will be good. But it's just like, in the waiting, this is the moment, this is the real opportunity. And just thought I'd show you that too. Probably a 30-minute video. So anyways, yep, 30 minutes. All right, bless you, love you. Talk to you later, Mom. Bye.